city itself will be our playground to use as we please, rewarding ourselves and punishing our enemies.
We've been looking for you, Miss O'Neill.
There is a new enemy, freaks of nature. Together, we will punish these traitors.
What the heck was that?
Looked like sort of a big turtle in a trench coat.
Awesome!
So naturally, we kids of the 90s ate this shit up, and we loved every single moment of it. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, what really can you say? It's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in live action with Jim Henson's puppet shop, the Creature Shop. And it's a pretty damn good movie. It's a movie that still holds up to this very day. It's a faithful adaptation to not only the TV series, but also the comic books as well. But it's just a great movie overall. It's a movie that still holds up to this very day. The performances are still very good. It knows what the kids want, but it also knows when to take its time. It's like it knows when to take a break, let the emotions play a part of the movie. Because there are a lot of heavy moments in this movie, more than I think anybody would have ever expected from something called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And it's a wonderful movie. It's just a great movie that still holds up. If you love the Ninja Turtles, you can see this movie and be like, this still holds up on so many levels. What a lot of people don't really talk about this movie is how it was also an independent film, too. For the longest time, they didn't have anybody backing the movie up. They just had an independent budget on their own. They took this to Disney. They didn't want it. Columbia Pictures didn't want it. MGM didn't want it. Neither did Orion. Paramount, who would actually later acquire the Turtles franchise, and Warner Brothers, which still holds the rights to this movie as of today. But New Line Cinema, which eventually got sold into Warner Brothers, decided to take a chance on it because they were just a small independent company, even though they produced the Friday the 13th, not Friday the 13th, they would get the Friday the 13th movies after Paramount let it go, but they produced the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, and this movie just really took them to another level. They were in the middle of production, and they went into this without a studio to back them up. And so the fact that this made as much money as it did, it was the highest grossing independent movie for a long time. Like, I think not until the Blair Witch Project near the end of the decade did that record get surpassed. But yeah, it's an interesting story on how this movie got made and how it became an independent film at first and then became a studio film towards the end of its production. And how it really shaped most of the family comedies and movies that we'd see in the 1990s. We'll see several movies like that. We already saw Pretty Woman last week, and then we'll have Ghost and Home Alone coming up in this year as well. But like I said, Ninja Turtles is just a ton of fun. This first movie is just a classic movie. It still holds up to this very day. It's a fun movie. It's a fun movie that takes a lot of chances, takes a lot of risk, and most of it does pay off. There are silly moments in here, but those are right from the TV series or right from the comic books. There are serious moments, but that's right from the comic books. It's just a movie that just... You could tell the people who made this movie knew the source material, knew what they wanted to do, and it just worked. It just worked on so many levels, like not a movie like Masters of the Universe years prior just didn't have the opportunity to do. So, anyway, yeah, that's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the first one. Still the best movie of the original series, maybe the best movie in the Turtles franchise, but we'll get to the other ones when we get to the other one.
Once upon a time, in the middle of a deep, dark factory, an average Joe Banks, lived a very boring life.
Good morning, Dee Dee.
Hi, Joe. What's with the shoe?
Losing my soul.
Yeah.
Until one day, he found out his life was over.
I'm not sick except for this terminal disease.
That's right. You have some time left, Mr. Banks.
live it well. And that's
Joe Banks?
when his adventure began.
You and I might be able to help each other. I want to hire you to jump into a volcano. Total red carpet situation. It's wine, women, and song in the sweetest little paradise you ever saw. A real journey.
Are you Joe Banks?
Yeah.
Hanks, Meg Ryan,
Joe Banks.
in the story of a man, a mountain, and a miracle.
Take me to the volcano!
He's diving! He's jumping! He's leaping!
Written and directed by John Patrick Shanley, the Academy Award-winning writer of Moonstruck.
I love you.
I love you too. I've never been in love with anybody before either. It's great. I am glad. But the timing stinks. I gotta go.
Joe versus the Volcano.
Yeah, I really like Joe versus Volcano. There's a lot about this movie that works. You know, Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan, they work off each other really well, and it would later show in two other movies in the 90s. Of course, we had Sleepless in Seattle and You've Got Mail. We'll get to those when we get to those years in 93 and 98. They just work off each other so well. Their chemistry is fantastic. And, like I said, we saw two other movies with them where their chemistry works so well. The film also does a very good job blending the over-the-top screwball comedy antics of the premise, and you also get these lighter, heartfelt moments that really do mesh well together with the script by John Patrick Shanley. Granted, the story can be a little disjointed at times, and there are some scenes here that are very outdated and very, like, I believe that's Nathan Lane as one of the tiki guy. I believe it's one of the tiki guys there as one of the, and the makeup and all that. That could go. Some people might find that a little racist, kind of, but for the time period, for what the world was like then, I guess it was okay. But nowadays it's like very outdated, like very, very outdated. But on the whole, Joe vs. the Volcano really is a fun movie. It's a solidly funny, enjoyable comedy, and you can see why it's had a cult following over the years. It's a comedy that is so over the top, so screwball silly, but it does have its heart in the right place, and I think it does have enough moments there to make it a fun experience for a lot of people. So I definitely recommend Joe vs. the Volcano.
The ancient pyramid of Kali Baba, where a fabulous treasure has lay hidden for centuries. A treasure sought by a ruthless sorcerer. A treasure whose incredible mysteries are about to be uncovered.
Jumpstart my heart.
By 6 daring adventurers.
I finally found it.
But finding the fortune is only the beginning
Who's this guy?
of a powerful secret
Bless me bagpipes.
It's Kino.
that will lead to unbelievable magic.
I wish for the treasure of Kali Baba.
That will become one unforgettable adventure.
I'd sure like to know where this leads.
I'm not so sure you do.
It's your favorite Ducktales friends in their first full-length, big-screen motion picture. A story filled with excitement,
You better get back here.
danger, surprises,
Is there a doctor in the pyramid?
and fun.
That's easy for you to say.
It's a movie so big, so special, so exciting,
Shabowie!
no TV can hold it. Ducktales the movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp.
I wouldn't mind doing it again, now that I know you can live through it.
It's hard to believe that in 1990, Disney not only created one movie, but 2 animated movies that would end up becoming some of their most underrated works. Like, we had this movie, and then we had The Rescuers Down Under, and this is coming right after they just did The Little Mermaid. And it's just like, what happened that both DuckTales and Rescuers Down Under ended up underperforming so badly at the box office, but they would later go on to become cult classics in their own rights. DuckTales the movie is amazing. Like, this is a movie that is a lot better than I think a lot of people would give it credit for. This is a movie that's more based off the old Carl Banks comics that the original series was based off of, even though the elements of the TV show are still very much used here. The animation is incredible. There's a lot of good writing in this movie. Alan Burnett, who would later go on to do Batman the Animated Series, wrote this. The action is very good. The voice work is once again top-notch. It paces itself very nicely. It doesn't feel rushed at all, even though it's only about 75 minutes long. It knows when to wrap the story up, and it knows that it does a good job of keeping the pace up so you can keep getting invested in what's going on. And there's nothing really more I can say about it. I mean, this is just a fantastic movie. It's a shame that it didn't do well at the box office, but then again, August is not usually the best time to release a family film, even for Disney. Very rarely do you have a family film in August that actually makes a big profit at the box office, and unfortunately, this killed what could have been for the Disney Afternoon series, because they were actually going to work on a Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers animated movie after this movie came out, but that got shelved, and we wouldn't get a real Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers movie until the recent movie on Disney Plus. But and honestly, we wouldn't get a Disney Afternoon movie-esque type movie until we get a Goofy movie, which is pretty much Goof Troop the movie when you really look at it. But it's interesting. It's interesting what could have been. But DuckTales the movie really is an incredible movie, a very underrated movie. Great, but it's great all around. I can't recommend it enough. Definitely check it out if you haven't seen it already.
From out of the west, in a cloud of dust, a thunder of hooves, and a mighty
Great Scott.
Oh, this is heavy.
Indians! This summer, Marty and Doc go back one more time for their greatest adventure of all. Doc's living in the past.
Don't cry, Lieutenant!
But he's about to be history.
What kind of a future do you call that?
I'm going back to 1885, and I'm bringing you home.
It's the last roundup.
Come on, run!
It's the final showdown,
Hey, lighten up, jerk!
where Marty makes a name for himself.
What's your name, dude?
Eastwood. Clint Eastwood.
What kind of stupid name is that?
Doc meets his mate.
You saved my life.
I'm a brown, I just saw this.
And Tannen meets his match.
I'll hunt you and shoot you down like a duck. It's dog, Buford. Shoot him down like a dog.
Michael J. Fox.
Where did you learn to shoot like that?
7-Eleven.
Christopher Lloyd.
There's a fella that can't hold his liquor.
And Mary Steenburgen.
I never ever met a man like you before.
Gentlemen, excuse me, but my friend and I have to catch a train. This summer, Steven Spielberg and Robert Zemeckis invite you. Come on, Marty! To the Rough Rider. Rip roaring, rootin' tootin', straight shooting.
Did they hold up?
It's a science experiment! Rousing conclusion of Back to the Future.
Let the festivities begin!
Back to the Future, Part 3.
So Back to the Future Part 3, of course, comes 6 months after Back to the Future Part 2, which we already looked at on a previous episode. I'll put the card for that on the quarter here. And this was one of the first back-to-back sequels that we've had since King Kong and Son of Kong, which was shot back-to-back in the 1930s. I'm pretty sure there's some other ones, too, that I can't remember right now. But, actually, I just thought of one right now. The Breaking movies, I think, were shot back-to-back in 84. But, Back to the Future Part 3, this was one of the bigger ones that they did back-to-back, because you didn't usually see a big blockbuster have back-to-back sequels coming out like this, like Back to the Future Part 2 and 3 did. So it was kind of a big deal to have both of these movies coming out within 6 months ahead of each other. And Back to the Future Part 2, while it didn't do as well as the first movie did, it did pretty well at the box office. It didn't get the same critical reception that the first movie did, which is interesting because the third movie comes out. It's actually the lowest grossing of the 3 films. and yet it gets a better critical reception than the second Back to the Future movie. Of course, I've talked about how I've been a fan of this franchise for the longest time, and so this third movie, in terms of this third movie, honestly, the third movie of the Back to the Future Part 3, I would say is the worst of the series, and I put worst in quotation marks because neither one of these movies are terrible, but in terms of the one that I think is the lesser of the three films, this is probably it. And I remember when I first watched this movie originally, I liked it, but I didn't want to watch it over and over again. But it's a movie that has indeed grown on me over the last couple of years. Would I say it's better than Back to the Future Part 2? Probably not, but it does wrap up the story very well. They do a good job of tying up a lot of the loose ends from the last two movies, and showing some maturity between Marty and Doc, because Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd have these character arcs going on throughout the course of this movie. Of course, Doc falls in love with Clara, played by Mary Steenburgen, and in Back to the Future Part 2, there was a line where he was finding out about the great mystery of the universe, women. And then with Marty's story, we get a callback to one of the main parts of Back to the Future Part 2, where it's revealed that future Marty's life took a downward spiral when he gets into a Rolls-Royce accident. And that plays a big part here in this movie, especially in the second and third acts, because there's a couple of scenes in this movie where Marty and Doc, or there's one scene in particular where Marty and Doc, Marty has just been challenged by Buford to a duel, and everyone's expecting Marty to lose that and end up getting killed, to the point where there's a gravestone that in the beginning of the movie was supposed to be Doc's gravestone, because he's supposed to get shot by Buford. But then when this duel happens, the Doc's name gets erased, and it's now Marty's name that he has in the past, Clint Eastwood. And there's a part there where Marty is going, "I'm going back to the future with you. I mean, you heard what that son of a bitch said to me." And Doc is just like, "Marty, you can't let that guy get to you. That's why you get in that Rolls-Royce accident." And then there's this moment where Marty's just like, "What?" And he's just like, because we've heard about this in the second movie, and it comes into more detail in this particular movie. And Marty just straight up tells him, "What about my future?" And Doc is just like, "I can't tell you. It'll make it worse." And he is like, "What is wrong with my future?" And Doc again is just like, "Marty, we all gotta do things that we don't want to do." And he's gotta be like, "You gotta do what you gotta do." Something around the lines like that. And of course, what happens at the end of the movie is that we actually see the incident with the Rolls Royce, except this time around, Marty doesn't take the challenge from Needles, which I actually like that they actually made Needles a part of that movie, because it was because of him he'd be in that accident. Needles again played by Flea, and I love the build up to that. I love how they make it seem like he's going to do the race. He's going to go with it. And then as soon as the light turns green, you see Needles and his gang go forward, and Marty and Jennifer go backwards, and Jennifer's just like, "Did you do that on purpose?" And Marty's like, "Yeah, you think I'm stupid enough to race that asshole?" And then you see, of course, that if he had gone for it, he would have hit the Rolls Royce, and then, of course, his life would have been completely different. Which I actually like that they made those callbacks, and I think that's one of the things that makes me like this movie a lot more than I really think I did before when I saw it the first time around. But I mean, you still get a lot of the same tropes in this movie. It still follows the same basic format as the other two movies. Marty's going through the town the first time around, seeing how Hill Valley looks in 1885. He's still got to have the first interaction with Buford in the bar, and I like that they did some stuff that was different. They made it they didn't give Marty an easy win this time around. He actually was in danger at first of almost being hung over by the new clock tower they had at the time. And I do like that he matured as a character, honestly. He found a way to outsmart Buford. He found a way to grow up a little bit, and I like that. I like the way that they handled this story. I also like the relationship between Lloyd and Steenburgen's characters, Doc and Clara. They actually have a good chemistry together, and of course, Mary Steenburgen's been a great actress over the years, but it's interesting to see Christopher Lloyd as Doc Brown as seems somewhat like a romantic icon in this movie, because he really plays this romance with Steenburgen very well. Like, you really believe these two have a great connection together, and then when you see they have to go through the third act breakup, it's heartbreaking for him. Like, he goes into a stupor by, funnily enough, one thing of alcohol. It's just like, it's one of the funniest things ever. I like that he didn't really, like, he didn't even. What's funny is that he only had one thing of alcohol before he passed out. I thought that was absolutely hilarious. And like I said, the callbacks in this movie are very well done. There's a callback to a movie that the alternate Biff is watching in Back to the Future Part 2 that actually plays a part in the conclusion of the movie, but in the final battle between Marty and Buford. The trade scene is very well done. Like, it still holds up to this very day, even with the practical effects here. It still holds up really well. Like, I'm really impressed with how well that holds up, especially when the train goes off the ravine. I mean, you keep forgetting that that's a prop being filmed on a small train prop, and the way that the camera films it like it's an actual real thing. It's actually pretty impressive how they were able to how they did that then, and how it still holds up now. And I think the best thing about this particular movie is the way the movie ends, how they wrap everything up. They show the DeLorean getting destroyed, which is, of course, a sad moment, and it works very well with Marty going once the DeLorean gets destroyed by the train. He's just looking up to the sky and just like, well, Doc, it's destroyed, just like you always wanted. It's just like, yeah, it's a gut-wrenching moment, like, because like that's the symbol of this franchise getting completely destroyed, and that's basically just saying that at that point it's just like, yeah, we're not getting another one of these movies because that thing's destroyed. And then of course the way they wrap everything up, they bring back most of the original cast from the first movie for this conclusion, except of course for Crispin Glover. I think it's I can't remember the name of the actor who replaces him. Give me one sec. Jeffrey Reisman as George McFly, Marty's dad, who was in Part 2. He was upside down, so you couldn't see him, and now in this movie he's right side up. And then they have the moment at the end where Marty and Jennifer are going through the rubble. They find the picture of the new clock tower in 1885, and then Marty and then Doc comes back with the steam powered train. They wrap up that story, and he has this great speech to Marty about making your own future. And the train has essentially become the new DeLorean. And then the movie ends, and it's just like, it's a perfect way to end the series that really, like, it really does a good job of wrapping up the series the adventure that we just got on. And of course we had the Back to the Future animated series that came out a year afterwards, which was a decent show. It wasn't anything too spectacular, but it does a decent job of continuing the story in a way that it doesn't affect the overall enjoyment of the trilogy itself. But I'm glad they haven't done any other sequels or reboots of this, because from what I've read, Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale, I think Steven Spielberg, had a contract at the time of the making of these movies where they said that you could never remake Back to the Future or Jaws without their permission. And I'm glad that they haven't been able to these movies haven't been, what's the best way to describe it? I'm glad that these movies haven't been subjected to being remade, rebooted, or having these younger actors coming in here and trying to do this all over again. Because Back to the Future, the series, has been a one-of-a-kind thing. It's a series that has worked well enough as it is. It has worked well enough to stand up on its own and still hold up even to this very day. Like, anytime these movies are on TV, I have to watch it because I just love these movies so much. I will always get an enjoyment factor out of them every single time. They're just movies that I have to watch every single time they're on. I just have to watch them whenever I can find them. They're just that great. They're just that great of a movie for me to. These are just those great of movies for me to just watch over and over again and never get tired of them whatsoever. And like I said, even though Back to the Future Part 3 is definitely the weaker of the series, the weakest film of the series, it's still a very well-made movie. It's a good conclusion to the series. There's still a lot of those moments that make these movies so special, that make them so watchable. The chemistry between these characters works so well. The comedy still works really well. The action set pieces are well done. It knows when to take the heartfelt moments and dramatic moments and work them very well. And the music is still very good. The cinematography is still very well done. The visuals still hold up. It's a great series, man. It's still one of my favorite trilogies of all time. Still one of my favorite series of all time, film series of all time, honestly. And this movie does a pretty good job of wrapping it all up. Like, it does a good job of wrapping the story up. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It's just a great trilogy, and the hope is that this series will continue to be just a trilogy. Nobody will be forced to remake these movies in the future, because I don't really think you could do this series again in a new way. Like, it's really hard to do. Maybe you can do stuff with these characters like they've been doing with commercials and shorts and all that, but yeah, like, this is a great series. I mean, Back to the Future Part 3, as much as it's the lesser of the three films, it's still an enjoyable film that wraps everything up. It's just a great movie, and I can't recommend it enough if you haven't already seen it already. So that's my thoughts on Back to the Future Part 3.
From the makers of Blood Simple and Raising Arizona, a world where nothing is what it seems to be. Leo, is he still the boss?
The day I back down from a fight, Casper's welcome to the rackets, this town, and my place at the table.
Casper, can he muscle in?
I'm sick of taking a scrap from you, Leo. And I'm sick of the high hat.
Tom, would he sell out a friend?
You shouldn't be confronting Jenny Casper. That's what I've been trying to tell you.
I can still trade body blows with any man in this town. Except you, Tom.
And Verna.
Verna, is she Leo's girl?
What did you tell Leo?
I told him you were a tramp and he should dump you.
I want everybody to be friends. You, me, Leo, the Danes.
You know who I am?
The Dane. Has he got it figured?
You dumping Leo for the guy who put a bullet in your brother?
Bernie, will he turn the tables?
Don't smart me.
I want to watch you squirm. I want to see you sweat a little.
All you gotta do to show you're a friend is give me Bernie burn bum.
Tommy, you can't do this. You don't bump guys. It's not right, Tom. I can't do it. Two of us have faced worse odds.
Never without reason.
I thought you said you didn't care about Leo.
I said we were through. It's not the same thing.
I'm talking about friendship. I'm talking about character. I'm talking about ethics.
Albert Finney, Gabriel Byrne, Marcia Gay Harden, John Turturro.
I can't die. Out here in the woods. Like a dumb animal. I can't die.
He's still alive.
You expect me to believe you?
No.
You go over Tom. Alive and no heart.
No one is what they seem to be.
Up is down. Black is white.
At Miller's Crossing.
So you have Goodfellas, which is a fantastic crime film of its own kind, and then you have Miller's Crossing here, which is just as good. Maybe not better than Goodfellas, but it's just as good. I mean, this is a fantastic crime film, written and directed by the Coen brothers. You have Gabriel Byrne, Marcia Gay Harden, John Turturro, Albert Finney. Just this great cast all around. Some great moments all throughout this movie. Great cinematography by Barry Sonnenfeld. just memorable scenes that still hold up to this very day. This is a great movie. It's one that not a lot of people talk about when they talk about the Coen Brothers' great movies, because they had just done Raising Arizona and Blood Simple before this, and then they would have this great decade of great movies, especially in the latter half of the decade. But this is a fantastic movie all around. I mean, John Turturro's performance in this movie is great. It's a great performance that it's over dramatic, but it's not over dramatic where it feels like he's going completely over the top just to win an Oscar. It's not an Oscar bait performance. He's generally giving it his all in this movie, and it shows in that scene in the trailer, and it also shows in that scene in the movie where he's out there begging for his life, and he's just crying out to be alive and not get killed. And it's a great movie. It's a fantastic film. I don't think I need to say anything more about this one. If you have not seen Miller's Crossing, you need to go see it. If you like Coen Brother movies, you're going to love this one a lot. Miller's Crossing, fantastic movie.
Walt Disney Pictures presents its all-new 29th full-length animated motion picture. Australia. Mysterious. Untamed. And for a young boy named Cody and his magnificent golden eagle, it was a world of adventure and discovery.
Fire!
Until they met the villain McLeach.
That bird's gonna make me rich.
An evil trapper who threatens to separate them forever.
It's time you learned how to fish for crocs.
But though hope is running out, a message is on the way. To the Rescue Aid Society.
There has been a kidnapping in Australia.
And two little heroes, Bernard and Bianca, are flying in.
Whoa! Whoa! Hey, let's go for it!
It's the rescuers in the most dangerous mission ever.
We'll never make it! Cinch up your seatbelt, mates.
Now, they're joining forces with their new friend Jake and his army of misguided mates.
Howdy, howdy, howdy.
Ah, Frank, give it a rest.
They're flying into action, riding into danger.
Missed.
In the most breathtaking rescue mission ever.
Hey, who killed the music?
Oops.
Yeah!
This holiday season, join Bernard, Bianca, Jake, and
Wilbur!
in an adventure above the ordinary in the land down under. Walt Disney Pictures' The Rescuers Down Under.
Throw another shrimp in a barbie, sports fans. Here we come!
And along with the rescuers, it's Mickey Mouse and Mickey Mouse.
Which one is which?
In the classic tale of the wealthy prince and the poor peasant who decided to switch places.
If my friends could see me now.
He's an imposter.
I'm the prince.
You think you're chip crap?
This holiday season, join Donald Duck, Goofy, Pluto, and Mickey Mouse in his first new big screen appearance in almost 10 years. Walt Disney Pictures' The Prince and the Pauper and The Rescuers Down Under, playing together at theaters everywhere.
I mean, talk about a great double feature that is. You get a good Rescuers sequel, and before that, you get a really good Mickey Mouse short in The Prince and the Pauper, which they say it's 10 years since Mickey made his appearance on the big screen in a short film, but I mean, technically, Mickey's Christmas Carol did come out in '83, so really it was about 7 years, but I mean, they're close enough. 10 years, I mean, you round that up, it's pretty much 10 years, but yeah, Prince and the Pauper, I'll briefly talk about that one because that's a pretty good short. It's a pretty good retelling of the story of the Prince and the Pauper. Of course, you have Mickey Mouse and the Prince. They switch lives. The Prince goes on to live with the peasants, and Mickey the peasant gets to live his life as a prince. One of the guards, played by Pete, wants to kill the Prince and take over the kingdom, and pretty much the story of the Prince and the Pauper, pretty much. And like with Mickey's Christmas Carol, they do a pretty good job with it. They do a good job keeping the story short. It's only a 22-minute short, and it's a really good animated short. The animation in that is incredible. It still holds up to this very day. It does a good job of keeping the pacing very, very well, despite the time period. It mixes the comedy and some little bits of drama in there, too, that are actually very good. The voice work is very well done. You got Wayne Allwine back as the voice of Mickey Mouse and the Prince. And he actually does a pretty good job in both roles. Like, I didn't think he could pull off a British kind of accent, but he does in this short playing the Prince, and he does a very good job with it. And it's an overall great short. I would have liked to see this double feature on a big screen, especially with this intermission segment that they had in here, which I thought was pretty interesting. I'll show you that right now.
I have a brief announcement to make. Lights, please. Intermission. We will now pause for a brief 10-minute, 10-second intermission. Ample time to stretch your legs and arrive safely back in your seats with your Texas barbecue ribs, chocolate bunnies, and tiny little sugar-covered sticky gooey things. Come back here and erase this at once!
What he means is we're going to have a 10-minute intermission followed by the Rescuers Down Under. Oh, boy! Bye!
All I do is try to instill a little knowledge into fledgling boys, and what do I get in response to this? This outrage! Lights, please. Begin countdown. Roll the credits.
So yeah, you basically got a 10-minute intermission to go get your popcorn, go to the bathroom, do whatever you needed to do before the Rescuers Down Under starts, and then the movie would begin. And Rescuers, I think, was about, let me see here. Yeah, Rescuers was close to about an hour and a half, so basically you had a 2-hour package here. And I always think back to when Coco had the Frozen Christmas short that they had at the beginning of that movie, which was basically the Christmas special that you see on TV every year. And I think the reason why that didn't work out as well is because that Frozen short, you have the Frozen short, which is about a half hour, and then you have Coco, which is about a 2-hour movie. So you're sitting there for 2.5 hours. You don't get that little intermission in between like you do with this. And I think people were really upset at that, even though I thought both of them worked very fine. I don't think they really should have been plastered together like that, especially with a movie that's over 2.5 hours. With a movie that's over 2 hours long. With this, I think it works better, even with that little 10-minute thing. I am kind of curious of what they did between the credits and then the actual movie. I really think that they probably could have put maybe another short in there, or I think they may have had like some kind of trivia thing. I know they had that when the Toy Story double feature came out in 3D about 10 plus years ago. But that was an interesting little bit of footage I found on YouTube. But as far as Rescuers Down Under goes, yeah, it's a great movie. It's a fantastic, very underrated Disney movie. What's interesting about this movie is that it's the first time they fully used the computer animation production system, the CAP system, which basically digitizes all the ink and painting and the animation drawings, and it would allow for these films to come out faster and look much better, look much crisper. And you can definitely see that, especially in the early scenes of this movie, where you have the kid and his gold eagle flying up in the air. The scenes of those flying scenes still hold up to this very day. This movie is over 30 years old, and those scenes still hold up to this very day with the music by Bruce Broughton. It's great to watch. And like, you have a great villain here, George C. Scott playing the bad guy. You've got Bob Newhart and Ava Gabor returning as Bernard and Bianca. You got John Candy playing Wilbur in this. He's very good in this. And the movie is just a ton of fun. It's a very good movie, a well-made film, nicely animated, great story, great villain, great characters, just a fun, enjoyable adventure. And it's a shame that nobody went to see it. And I remember watching the Waking Sleeping Beauty documentary where they talked about how Jeffrey Katzenberg said that they pulled the marketing after the first weekend because the movie didn't do well. And so this movie barely made any money because most of the advertising was already gone after the first weekend. And this was before the Thanksgiving Christmas rush came into play. So Jeffrey Katzenberg basically took a risk by pulling all the advertising. He didn't even wait to see if this movie would play well over the holidays. And the movie, I think, was out of theaters by the time Christmas came around, which is a shame because people really missed out on another great Disney movie in 1990. There was this, and then Ducktales the movie, which we talked about earlier. They missed out on some great movies here, and The Rescuers Down Under is a fantastic movie. If you haven't seen it, which I don't know who would, but if you haven't seen The Rescuers, who wouldn't have, but if you haven't seen Rescuers Down Under, please go watch it. It's a very good movie that severely got thrashed by the box office, but it's more than worth seeing in theaters. I'm getting confused here. It's more than worth seeing. You could definitely find it on the Disney Plus. please seek it out. It's a fantastic movie. I can't recommend that movie enough. Rescuers Down Under. So yeah, Edward Scissorhands would eventually be the first of many, many, many collaborations with Johnny Depp. And among other things, it was also Vincent Price's last film role before he died. It was also the fourth film that Burton and Danny Elfman worked on together. And this is coming off of Tim Burton's success with Batman and Beetlejuice. So but there was a lot of high expectations for this, and the movie really outlasted a lot of expectations that people had with this movie, because you see it in the trailers. It's visually gorgeous. This is one of the most visually impressive movies I've seen in a long time, and it's definitely right up Tim Burton's alley. This is what you'd expect from a guy like him. And great cast overall. You not only have Johnny Depp, who's very good in this, you have Winona Ryder, you have Diane Wiest, Anthony Michael Hall, and Kathy Baker, Alan Arkin, and the previously mentioned Vincent Price. But of course, but I like the chemistry between Winona Ryder and Johnny Depp. They work very well together. Their scenes flow together very well. They have these great moments where the music just plays together so well. And it's just, like I said, it's just a gorgeous movie to look at. It's a weirdly gorgeous movie that just... It's just, no matter what way you watch it, if you watch it on videotape, if you watch it on the internet, if you watch it on Blu-ray, DVD, 4K, whatever, it just looks incredible. It still holds up to this very day. The production value on this still holds up almost over 30 years later. And it's just a great movie, man. Like, Johnny Depp really gives one of his greatest performances with this movie, and it just showed how great of an actor he can really be, and he would eventually show in the years to come after this. And honestly, I really don't have anything more to say about this movie. It's a masterpiece of a movie. It's a fantastic film. Edward Scissorhands. If you haven't seen it already, you gotta go out and see it, man.
And now, Paramount Pictures presents the continuation of Francis Ford Coppola and Mario Puzo's legendary saga.
We've sold the casinos. All businesses having to do with gambling. We have no interest or investment in anything illegitimate.
Don Corleone. The Corleone family. Partners with the Pope. They may cry in blasphemy.
This is business.
I know you're into banks and Wall Street, but everyone knows you're the final word like the Supreme Court. All I want to do is protect you from these guys, and your lawyers can't do that. I said we make them dead. You give me the order, I'll take care of it.
I command this family, right or wrong.
You know, Michael, now that you're so respectable, I think you're more dangerous than you ever were.
Our true enemy has not yet shown his face. If every drug pusher in this room would have dropped dead, I would be the only one alive.
Well, you tell him from me, he can live or he can die, you understand?
Will you shut up? Will you shut up?
You're the only one left in this family with my father's strength.
I'm a Corleone.
You can save the Corleone family. I'll help you.
The ultimate story of family.
Come at me as you will.
And loyalty.
Give up my daughter.
Power. And violence.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
The Godfather Part III.
When they come, they'll come at what you love.
Yeah, sadly I can't show the full trailer, but you really need to go out and look at the full trailer for this, because It's probably one of my favorite trailers of all time because it starts off with clips from both The Godfather and The Godfather Part II. It talks about the history between both movies and just gets you psyched to see what the next chapter of this saga is going to be. And like I said, I couldn't put the whole trailer up there, but definitely go look for it online. You can definitely look for it there. So The Godfather Part III has a notable history behind it. It's a movie that a lot of people say is the worst of the series, which really I can't really be wrong on that, because compared to the first two movies, it's definitely a lesser sequel. I don't think it's that bad, honestly. I don't hate this movie like everybody else does. Overall, I do really enjoy it. When you compare it to the other two movies, it's definitely a big letdown. But you also have to remember that this movie had a lot of problems behind the scenes. Largely, Paramount wanted to rush this out in theaters in time for a specific date, so they had Francis Ford Coppola move as fast as he can to make this movie, and unfortunately they didn't have enough time to put together the right pieces to it, which is why I think in other versions that come out after this, like the one I think he did a version a couple of years after this movie came out, and then more recently with the Godfather Coda, you get much better movies. But yeah, overall, I think Part 3 is a really good movie. Coppola and Mario Puzo's script does manage to try to keep what made the last two movies so special and memorable, and it does work with a couple of exceptions. For one thing, I think the final scenes are a little bit of a cop-out, especially the last scene, because at the same time, it makes sense that a man who's dealt with so much death in his life by violence, he dies naturally by a heart attack. But, I mean, by far the worst thing about Godfather 3 really is, I mean, Sofia Coppola, which, yeah, she's a great director, but she really can't act to save her life. I mean, it's the one thing that really bothered me about this movie, because you think with a director like Francis Ford Coppola, you would teach your daughter how to act and not just, or to just recast the role. I think at one point they wanted Winona Ryder for this role, which, talk about a banner year for her if she would have gotten this, but nope, fortunately we got this. But yeah, Godfather 3 really still has those great moments, like the scene where the meeting is interrupted by gunfire, although it does have some of the funniest one of the funniest out of nowhere moments where the guy is wants his coat so badly that he'd rather die than leave his coat behind. It's a ridiculous scene, but I can't help it. I laugh every time I see it. But you know, it is still one of the most well put together scenes in the film. It also has some of the best lines in the series. You know, where Al Pacino goes, "Just when I thought it was out, they pulled me back in." It's definitely the lesser of the series, no question about it. But so was Return of the Jedi for the original Star Wars trilogy. So was The Dark Knight Rises for the Batman movies. But they're still really good, solid movies. And yeah, I think with the other versions that came out after this, it definitely shows that Coppola, if he had more time to work on it at first, you probably would have had something on par with the original films. I mean, the movie did get several nominations at the Oscars the year after this, but didn't win anything. I think they just really put it in there because it's The Godfather. It's got to be in there. If it's not, then something must really be wrong with it. But it didn't do bad critically either, or financially. It did pretty well, but it just doesn't have that longevity it didn't have that same legacy that the other two movies had behind them, and that was a tall task to begin with. And just for the fact that this came out the same year as The Two Jakes, which was another sequel that they were really pushing to do very well, and that ended up failing so badly. This movie won on so many levels compared to what The Two Jakes ended up being. But yeah, like I said, if it would have helped better if Godfather 3 didn't feel rushed and Coppola had more time to work on it. But I think it is still a very good movie. It doesn't live up to the same caliber as the first two movies, but you know, Francis Ford Coppola has had a lot of good movies that people have not really talked about all that much. Even before this, he had some great stuff like One from the Heart, which was one of the movies that killed New Hollywood, but it was actually a really good movie. I just saw it recently. It's a wonderfully made movie. The visual look of that film is amazing, but you also have The Outsiders, you have The Cotton Club, Tucker the Man in His Dream. Just these great movies that not a lot of people really gave a lot of respect to back then, but years later, they finally are getting their proper respects and becoming like having these cult followings. And Godfather 3 definitely has had that, especially with the Godfather Coda receiving a much better reception than the original version did. And yeah, like I said, nowhere near as good as the first two movies, but I still really enjoy it a lot. This series is still one of my second favorite movie of all time. I consider all three of these films together just one movie to put in my top movies list. It's my second favorite movie, only behind Bambi. And if Godfather Part 3 had been a little bit better the first time around, maybe this would have been my favorite movie of all time. But yeah, overall, I like Godfather Part 3. I do really enjoy this movie a lot. So that's my thoughts on The Godfather Part 3.
Where are you going? We're gonna miss the plane!
When the McAllister family left on their Christmas vacation,
Did we miss the plane? No, you just made it.
they forgot one small thing.
Have yourself
a terrible feeling. Did you lock up?
yourself be light.
Do we set the timers on the lights?
Mm-hmm. What else could we be forgetting?
Our troubles will be ours.
Kevin!
Home Alone.
Police in the northern suburbs are on the lookout for a pair of burglars who are calling themselves the Wet Bandits.
We know that you're in there.
It's Santa Claus and his elf.
Get off my property.
This is my house. I have to defend it.
Where's your mother?
My mom's in the car.
Where's your father?
He's at work.
What about your brothers and sisters?
I'm an only child.
Where do you live?
Can't tell you that.
Why not?
Because you're a stranger.
He's a kid. I mean, what can a kid do to us?
Kids are stupid. I know I was.
You still are, Marv.
This is it.
I don't care if I have to get out on your runway and hitchhike. I am going to get home to my son.
Yes!
Where are you, you little creep? I'm gonna kill that kid!
Why'd you take your shoes off?
Why do you dress like a chicken?
Gus Polinski, polka king of the Midwest. If you have to get to Chicago, we'll gladly drive you.
Hey, guys.
Yesterday, he was just a kid. But tonight, he's a home security system.
You guys give up, or you're thirsty for more?
From John Hughes,
You know, I got a feeling this is going to be your best Christmas ever.
a family comedy without the family. Home Alone.
Are you here all alone?
I'm 8 years old. You think I'd be here alone? I don't think so.
Directed by Chris Columbus, coming November 16th.
Of course, it was Home Alone. Home Alone came out this weekend on November 16th. And needless to say, it made a pretty penny at the box office. Not only did it become a hit the first weekend, but it was one of the biggest hits of all time, pretty much, because it was the biggest. It ended up becoming the biggest comedy of all time, surpassing Ghostbusters, and it wouldn't be surpassed again until Hangover Part 2 came out 21 years later. But not only that, the movie, which was intended solely as a Christmas movie, it played way past Christmas. I think it didn't get out of the top spot until February or March of '91. It was there for a long time, and people would just keep coming back to see it. It had like a Titanic vibe, where it was just like it kept being the #1 movie for several weeks. No matter what new movie came out, no matter what was coming out, expanding out the theaters, it would always be at the top spot. And people would go to see it so many times that by the end of its run, I think it was in theaters, in many theaters until midsummer of '91. I mean, it was a big, big hit at the time. And of course, it also inspired a lot of the comedies that we would get in the '90s. It was a big success for John Hughes, probably the last really big success he had as a filmmaker, even though he would have successes afterwards. But this was his biggest success to date. And of course, this is Chris Columbus's first real big hit, and also launched the career of Macaulay Culkin. You can kind of say it launched the careers for several actors in here. I mean, in terms of successes, like Joe Pesci was a pre-established actor, but this is one of his biggest successes. So was Daniel Stern, John Hurt, Catherine O'Hara. So many names, so many people to talk about in this, and the movie still holds up to this very day. I mean, I don't think I really need to delve too much into Home Alone, largely because there really is not that much more to say that hasn't been said already. It's a classic movie for a number of reasons, and I still believe it's a movie that really honestly could have worked only back in the 90s, because, I mean, when you look at what Home Alone basically is, it's a kid who's at home alone, there's no internet, the phones are mostly out until Christmas time, so there's no real way for the family to connect. There's no way to connect them through, like, the technology we have now. So it'd be really hard to make this movie nowadays. Even though they did try last year with Home Sweet Home Alone, which was I want to say I mean, it was okay, but I liked it. It was certainly better than anything after Home Alone 2. I mean, I know a lot of people hated it, but I liked it better than anything after Home Alone 2, because Home Alone 3 is a mess of a movie, and we don't talk about the 2 direct-to-video sequels, but yeah, like, Home Alone was really one of those lightning in a bottle movies that really took off much better than I think anybody really expected it to. I think this was, it's interesting when you look back at the history of the making of this movie. This was originally a Warner Brothers movie, and actually started filming as a Warner Brothers movie, but they got out of it at the last minute. Fox came in and picked it up, and then the rest is history after that. I mean, I really don't have to go into it review-wise, because I think everybody has a pretty good idea of how they feel about this movie. Overall, it's a classic movie. It's a classic movie all around. It's very funny. It finds a good balance between the funny moments and the more serious moments, where Macaulay Culkin, of course, has to realize that he needs to grow, that he needs to mature a little bit as the movie goes along, and he misses his family, even though it says at the beginning that he'd rather have no family whatsoever and go on a vacation on his and be by himself. I mean, going on vacation would be the second one, but you get the idea. You get the idea that I'm trying to get through here. But like I said, there really is not a whole lot more I can add to this that hasn't already been said already. I've done numerous blogs talking about how much this is a classic movie. Many people have already talked about how this is a great film. It's really hard to top this movie. This is a great movie all around. One of John Hughes' best movies. One of Chris Columbus' best movies. Of course, Macaulay Culkin's career took a huge jump after this. Turned him into a superstar. Need I say more? Need I really say more about this movie? It's a classic film. It's always going to be one I'm going to watch every holiday multiple times. It's the one movie I've watched multiple times, especially in the last few years, because it's been playing on Freeform. I think last year it was on every other day during the holiday season, and then I watched it more times than the times that I didn't watch it. I mean, that's how much I love this movie so much. I could watch this movie so many times and never get tired of it whatsoever. It's a great movie, fantastic film. I don't really need to add any more to this. Home Alone, classic movie, and one of the biggest movie hits of all time. I mean, it really was a phenomenon at the time that's really hard to really top nowadays. I mean, you can't really find this kind of success anymore, quite honestly. So, yeah, that's all I got to say about Home Alone.
Never rat on your friends, and always keep your mouth shut.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
Hey, Mom, what do you think?
You look like a gangster.
I know By the time I grew up, there was $30 billion a year in cargo moving through Idlewild Airport. Believe me, we tried to steal every bit of it.
What do you do?
I'm in construction.
He's not Jewish.
Mazel tov. For most of the guys, killing's got to be accepted.
Hey, Henry, here's an arm.
Very funny, guys.
Here's a leg.
Here's a wing. What do you like, the leg or the wing?
It's you. For us to live any other way was nuts. And we were treated like movie stars with muscle. We had it all just for the asking.
It's gonna be a good summer.
It was a glorious time.
In a world that's powered by violence, on the streets where the violent have power, a new generation carries on an old tradition.
And unfortunately, not too long ago, we lost Ray Liotta, and there's nothing really more to say about his performance in this movie. It's an incredible performance he gives in this film. It's one of the highlights of the film. This movie just overall is a friggin' masterpiece, man. 1990 had a lot of gangster movies set in the past, movies that very much like this one, that this movie really defied the expectations of a lot of people had, because this was a year that we had a Godfather sequel, and this one trounced that one considerably as the best gangster movie of the time, and it just shows how Martin Scorsese never really lost his touch. There was a couple of times in the 80s where his streak kind of not really ended, but he didn't make as good of movies that he did in the past, like Taxi Driver, Raging Bull. Still make good movies, but not to those high levels. But this movie comes out, and it's a masterpiece in every sense of the word. The acting is great. Like I said, Ray Liotta is very good here. Joe Pesci is great in this. Lorraine Bracco is great. So is Robert De Niro, not Robert Downey Jr., Dennis Farina, Paul Sorvino, just some of the greatest actors who ever lived at the time worked on this movie, and it's just an amazing achievement. Just so many great things about this movie, from the cinematography, like the scene sequences in this movie. Just if you can't listen to "And Then He Kissed Me" without thinking about this, or the opening of Adventures in Babysitting. But when I think of that song, I think of this scene. I think of that scene where Ray Liotta is taking Lorraine Bracco through the kitchen and the back of the kitchen in the restaurant and getting the front row seat and everything. It's just this one singular shot, and it's just so well done. It's just a phenomenal movie in every sense of the word. It never lets up. It never falls off. It's just a fantastic, well-made movie. Anytime it's on TV, it's one of those ones that you just have to watch over and over again. It gives you everything you could possibly ask for and then some. It's one of Scorsese's greatest movies. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's Goodfellas. Need I say more?
Where I come from, it doesn't matter which end of the car goes around the corner first.
Hold on a minute. Don't you think we ought to talk?
What, about how I'm going to run? Sure.
Or how you manage to live as long as you have?
There's nothing I can't do with a race car. You run good. Thank you. I want to see how you do in the crowd.
We can fix it right here. Now what's it gonna be?
Tell me what you love about racing so much.
Speed. Come up here and do it. I'll take you to race.
I can't. I'm a doctor. I'm cold.
I don't want you to hold a bad opinion of Cole. He needs reassurance from you that he's okay. After all, you're his doctor.
How long before you find out if you're really good? Are you really lucky?
Now you're scared. You're scared.
He doesn't believe you can drive anymore.
I'll take your word for what a car can do. But I'm not taking anybody's word for what I can do, because nobody knows.
You get back in that car and you'll die.
AKA Top Gun on Wheels. And I honestly could say a lot about this movie, that so many similarities to Top Gun and all that, but I'll give it this: it's at least a better Top Gun ripoff than the other Top Gun ripoff we got in 1990, and that was Firebirds. But at the same time, yeah, this movie really, really is not all that good. I mean, yeah, it is basically Top Gun on wheels. It's like so many of the action sequences, so many of the characters, so much of the script, so much of the dialogue, so much of everything that happens in this movie. It really is. It's essentially that Top Gun taking place in NASCAR instead of being like taking place in the military and using fighter jets and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, there's a lot of great talent here. Tony Scott's a great action director. Robert Towne wrote this. He also wrote Chinatown. Tom Cruise took part in the script for this. You have the same the same duo that did Top Gun, Don Simpson and Jerry Bruckheimer. A great cast that includes Cruise, Duvall, Randy Quaid, Nicole Kidman, Carrie Ann Moss, Michael Rooker, John C. Reilly. But yeah, the movie itself just doesn't have that same spark, you know. When it's trying to be something. They should have gone for something different, but it just goes to so many similar levels that Top Gun did, that, quite honestly, if I had not seen Firebirds, I would say this is straight up one of the worst Top Gun ripoffs of all time. But I actually have come to kind of give this movie a little more credit after watching Firebirds. But because at least they're doing something slightly different here. Instead of it taking place with fighter jets, it's now race cars and NASCAR and all that. But it still doesn't make it a good movie. I mean, the action sequences might still look nice nowadays, and maybe there's some decent stuff here. I mean, I'll give him this. Tom Cruise is not terrible in this movie. He is giving it his all. He is trying his best to work with a really lackluster script here. You kind of expect better from Robert Towne, even though this was kind of where his career was kind of taking a downfall, and most of the scripts he was putting in, it wasn't working out as well as they did when he was making films like Chinatown and all that. But, yeah, honestly, I really don't have any more to say about this movie. It's a major step down to Days of Thunder, at least with I should say a major step down from Top Gun. Major step down from Top Gun. I am not gonna re-edit all that but yeah, it's a major step down from Top Gun for Tony Scott and Tom Cruise. It's just too much similar to Top Gun that there really is no fun to it. At least Top Gun, as flawed of a movie as it is, a heavily flawed movie, there's still stuff in there that still holds up with the test of time. Nothing in this movie holds up at all. I mean, nothing really holds up with this movie at all. It just doesn't work. It's just a movie that does not work as well as I think they wanted it to. And I just didn't see the appeal. I just didn't see why it needed to exist. Maybe if it had a better script, maybe if it was just straight up copying everything from Top Gun, you could have had something here. But overall, it's just a mediocre movie. It's just like, it's a mediocre movie that has very few elements that kind of make it somewhat watchable, but it really is one of the worst movies of the year, quite honestly. It's a movie that I don't think worked well at all. It's a movie that's instantly forgettable. I don't see the appeal of the lasting power of it, unlike Top Gun, but yeah, that's my thoughts on Days of Thunder.
25 years ago, they brought us a startling vision of the future. And now...
Help! James, stop this crazy thing!
Jetsons! They're back.
All right!
The Jetsons, in their first feature-length motion picture.
Congratulations!
Someone is sabotaging space sprockets.
We've lost 4 vice presidents.
And there's only one man for the job.
Jetson? I wouldn't use Jetson if Spacely Sprockets were going bankrupt.
He is expendable.
Perfect. Oh no, space, the final frontier.
Jetsons, the movie. Featuring music performed by Tiffany. The first movie from the family that's truly ahead of its time. Universal Pictures presents a Hanna-Barbera production. Jetsons, the movie.
So yeah, like I said, this movie is one that I keep going back and forth on. If you haven't heard about the production history of this, it's amazing how so many problems kept rising from this movie. So the film started off as a live-action film adaptation at Paramount with Gary Nardino, who did Star Wars, and that was supposed to be in '85. In fact, if you find the Paramount '85 trailer reel that they have for all the projects they had in production, it's in there. I think it's the last movie on there, along with the Peter Pan movie with Steven Spielberg would later do for Columbia. But if you could find that video on there, you could definitely see that the last bit of it has the thing for the Jetsons movie. But that film never happened, and then Universal bought the rights to the Jetsons, and I think they bought their film rights to most of the Hanna-Barbera properties, if I'm not mistaken. But then the movie actually goes into production, and then a lot of the problems come into hand. Most of the major cast of this movie ended up getting... they came back, but most of them didn't make it to the production of the film. Dawes Butler, who was the voice of Elroy, he fell ill with a stroke and had pneumonia and died in 1988 before he could even record any lines for the movie. And they had Chris Zimmerman's, the voice coordinator, Chris Zimmerman's son, Patrick, come in to do the voice, and he would later go on to do the voice of Tyke and Tom and Jerry Kids. But then George O'Hanlon, who had voiced George Jetson in the original series and everything up to this point, he died during the middle of production, and he died in February of '89 after he finished recording his lines. I think he actually could only record 1 hour at a time, according to Andrea Romano, who you know is a prolific voice director. he was only recording an hour at a time due to his illness, and I think he had his final stroke while he was at the studio finishing his lines. And if that wasn't enough, Mel Blanc died during the production of this movie, July 10th. And so they had to replace him with Jeff Bergman, who would also do the film voices for George as well. And you could definitely tell when it's Jeff Bergman and when it's Mel Blanc, because the voices are not very synced up very well. But if you listen to certain tracks in the movie, you can tell what lines Bergman is recording and what lines Hanlon and Blanc are recording. And then just when you think that couldn't get crazy enough, Janet Waldo, who played Judy Jetson in the original series and for most of the series up to that point, she actually recorded her lines for the movie, but her lines were later replaced by Tiffany, the pop singer at the time, who was still kind of popular, but her popularity wasn't really as strong as it was 2 years prior to it. And Universal did this behind her back. So even though Waldo has some lines in the movie that are still in the film, Universal thought Tiffany's involvement would result in a bigger performance, and so much so that this was a big problem that Romano actually tried to get her name off the finished film, but eventually does show up in the credits of the film. But to say that Tiffany's voice really does not sound like the right voice for Judy Jetson is an understatement, because when in this movie she really does not have the right voice for Judy Jetson. Although I will admit, probably the best song she ever did in her career was You and Me, which you heard a little bit in that trailer there. If you listen to that song and watch the music video in the movie, it's pretty damn good. Like, I'm listening to this, I'm thinking, this is still a really good movie. I'm actually pretty surprised. I mean, this is still a really good song, I mean. It still holds up so many years later. Yeah, as far as the movie itself goes, like I said, I flip-flop back and forth on it. There are times when I don't like it. I don't think it's a really good movie. But then there are times when I come back to it and I'm just like, okay, this maybe isn't as bad as I remember it. I think right now, I like it, but I'm not in love with it. I do like some of the animation in this. I do feel, as I look at it again, and it's just like, this is pretty much what I expect from a Jetsons movie. It's like what I expect with the Bob's Burgers movie. I mean, I'm not expecting them to go too epic or too over the top with it, and it delivers a really good, in that movie, in the case of the Bob's Burgers movie, it delivers on what it's promising. With this, it does deliver a little bit of what it's promising. There are a little bit of elements where, like, the environmental message gets a little preachy, but not as preachy as some of the other movies of this caliber that would do these animated movies like Fern Gully or Once Upon a Forest, or movies like The Page Master, or these environmental message movies about how we should protect the environment and all that, and all these other things. And I think what really made me turn around with this movie is the way the film ends. Like, I never really thought about it, but then I watched Nostalgia Critic's review of Jetsons the movie, and he basically brings up the fact that he likes that the film, there's no real villain, there's no real gigantic battle at the end of the movie. The film the climax of the movie is basically a business deal, because, of course, you find out that these grungies, as they're called, which are pretty much kind of like reject gremlins, they're the ones messing up the plant that George's family have moved to, and George basically compromises the deal with Mr. Spacely to let the grungies work for them, and that way they won't. In exchange, they won't destroy their home. They're not destroying the machinery that's destroying their home, and so on and so forth. And to its credit, that's actually a pretty clever idea, for them to not go over the top with the ending of it. It's just a business deal that saves the day in the end, and I think that's kind of funny. So I give him a lot of credit for that. I give him a lot of credit for going that level, and it does work in the end. Like, does everything about this movie work? Not really. There are times when it is very dated, and it does feel, and the animation, while it can look pretty impressive on some levels, other levels not so much. The music overall is okay. There are some songs I think that are actually kind of catchy. The Tiffany song I just mentioned, and there's a couple of other songs in there with, I don't know who the person is that's singing this song, but like, he sounds like a mix of Justin Bieber and Miley Cyrus, kind of, because he has a couple of songs in this movie. Shane something, I can't remember the name now. Shane Sutton is his name, I had to look it up. He did Staying Together, and then he does the end credits song With You All the Way, which, for the time period, they're actually not bad songs. Most of the songs in this movie are actually pretty good. I mean, there are some songs that are very dated. There's a rap at the end of the movie. But other than that, though, the music overall is pretty good. Even the score by John Debney is very well done. It's a great score that he has for this movie. So overall, I really have come around to this movie. I don't think it's a great movie overall, but I think there is more than enough there to actually warrant some rewatchability to it. Or maybe I just love it for nostalgic sake, because I did watch this movie a lot growing up as a kid. I saw the videotape for the longest time until I just sold it on eBay recently when I updated the DVD and the Blu-ray. But, yeah, the Jetsons movie is actually not as bad as I remember it. Like I said, it's not a great movie, but it is still a fun movie regardless. I think you could, if you're a fan of the Jetsons, you could watch it and you have a lot of fun with it. Non-Jetsons fans, I think you might not like it all that much, but overall, I say it's a much better movie than I thought it would have been before. But like I said, it's something that I kept going back and forth on. But right now, I'm feeling like, okay, I'd definitely watch this again if I get the chance to. So.
The war was good for L.A. Brought in money, opportunity, and more than a little greed.
Put the weasel in jail. Nothing else matters. Nothing else in the world.
How about $5 or $6 million?
Could I make a phone call?
Please. Now the war's over, and people come here because they think the money's easy and the women are easier. That's a combination that's good for business. The divorce business.
I was honestly unfaithful.
Which, by the way, pays for my convertible, my country club dues,
hell of a shot,
and my office building, where I can shut the doors and not even hear the oil well pumping across the street. The war was good for women, too. Gave them jobs.
Oh, you're gonna make me do it, aren't you?
Money. And enough independence to double the divorce rate, which didn't hurt my business any either. After all these years, I've learned a couple of things.
Trick or treat.
The clients lie.
Say hello to Jake Gittes.
What's this?
It's a hand grenade. You ought to know that. You're a war hero.
The cops always think I'm lying.
I didn't know he didn't have the gun with him. Oh, I'd never frisked him before I let him walk in on his wife hanging on the headboard while some guy was slamming her into the wall, Lou.
The lady in question reminds you of someone else. And marriage has made more liars out of men than golf. Of course, that guy can't live without golf.
The deal is you'll turn the wire over to me at the end of this round, or I'll have you killed.
Sure. The society crowd turns up its nose at mousing around and peeking through keyholes, but they're the ones who pay the most to see what's on the other side.
Come on. You can tell me.
Blackmail.
What are you talking about?
You tell me what the hell you think's going on here, and I'll tell you if I think you're right.
These days, people want to have it all. New cars, power steering, houses in the suburbs, speedboats, and instant cameras.
Oh, no, Kitty, how could you? What's going on here? How could you, Kitty? How could you with him? Not with him!
So now, it only takes a minute to see what a murder looks like.
Then what happens?
Usually happens when somebody pulls a gun. Everybody does.
What I do for a living may not be very reputable, but I am. In this town, I'm the leper with the most fingers.
Yeah, that's not a promising sign if I can't remember The Two Jakes, the sequel to one of the great movies of the 1970s in Chinatown. And, honestly, it pretty much tells you everything you need to know about this movie, because you would think with a sequel to Chinatown coming 16 years after the original movie, you would think that this would have some sort of merit to it, like something people would get excited for, you know. But unfortunately, this is one of those movies that had been in production hell for so many years. The script for this actually was finished in 1984, I should say. It actually dates back all the way to when Chinatown just came out 2 years afterwards in 1976. But then the script finally got finished in 84. Robert Towne was supposed to direct the film. If you see the Paramount 1985 trailer reel, it's it's heavily marketed in there as a movie that is eventually going to happen at some point with Robert Towne directing it, and unfortunately that never happened. When they were working on it in '85, they had Kelly McGillis, Kathy Moriarty, Dennis Hopper, Joe Pesci, and Harvey Keitel all casted. They were set to go. All the sets were built. Filming was about to begin, and then Robert Towne backs out at the last moment. Like he left the movie, and just because of, and it created a lot of creative differences between him, Robert Evans, and Jack Nicholson. And then after that happened, they got Dino De Laurentiis to help finance the movie. Harrison Ford was almost set to take over the role of Jake Gittes, and then Roy Scheider was supposed to play the other Jake, and they were supposed to start shooting that in '86. They thought about bringing John Huston back to direct that movie, but that never happened, and the film just kept going through all of these circumstances. The Cannon Group actually bought the film a little bit, and then they went back to Paramount afterwards, and then finally in April of '89, they finally made the movie, and this was supposed to be, and this was Jack Nicholson's directorial debut on this film. But unfortunately, it just doesn't live up to that much of the problems that they had at the beginning. You have to have a really good movie if you've had that many production difficulties. And unfortunately, the movie just doesn't have any of that. It doesn't have that same spark that the original Two Jakes had. The original Chinatown had. I'm getting so confused right now. Because the original Chinatown, it's a movie that still very much holds up almost 50 years later. This movie it just doesn't feel necessary. Like, there's nothing about this story that feels like it needed to continue. Chinatown had a good conclusion to its story. And so with this movie, it's just like, what's the real point of this? I mean, what am I really getting from this movie that it's so important that you had to make this movie? And sure enough, the movie didn't do so well. It crashed and burned at the box office. It only made back $10 million of its $25 million budget. And for a movie that was heavily hyped, long in production, waited over 15 years to get made, and you have Jack Nicholson not only starring but directing as well, and it also had it still has a pretty good cast: Harvey Keitel, Meg Tilly, Madeline Stowe, Eli Wallach, Reuben Blades, Frederick Forrest, David Keith, Richard Farnsworth, Tracy Walker, James Hong, Faye Dunaway, Tom Waits. For a movie with that big of a cast in here, and then for just to come out like this, that's a major, major misfire for Paramount Pictures, especially since their summer started off with them completely re-editing another 48 hours within a week before its release, creating one of the biggest clusterfucks you'll ever see, and then it ends with this. So yeah, needless to say, this movie is not very good. This is a very lackluster sequel to a movie that still holds up very well, and like I said before, you didn't really need this movie. There was really nothing there that we needed to know in a sequel film, and this movie really has no purpose of existing. The Two Jakes, like I said, it's just a movie that just doesn't need to exist. It's a movie that it's there. It's supposed to be something. It doesn't have that same. It doesn't have that same. What am I trying to say? Epic qualities that the first movie did, and there really is no reason for it to exist. So.
From $1 million to one shot, he became a true champion of the world. Now, the glory.
Because of the continuous violent blows to the head, the effects are irreversible.
The crowds.
My husband is retired. He has nothing more to prove.
And the money are gone.
You lost millions.
Look, I still got my place in the old neighborhood.
His title is in the hands of a new champion.
He might win a few fights, but he's no Rocky Balboa.
Controlled by an unscrupulous promoter.
This is your medical report. It's not so good, but we can work around it.
All that's left is his family.
We've been down before. I'll get it all back.
His heart.
I gotta fight, okay? I got problems, I gotta fight.
And a dream. A dream to get it all back.
This is a tremendous opportunity.
Opportunity for who? For you to make money for him to be disabled?
You know he can't carry
Balboa and stuff. As long as they got Balboa on the brain, he'll always be champ. Got to challenge that man to fight, and if he refuses, then you gotta insult him. You gotta dog him. You gotta humiliate him. You gotta do whatever you got to do to get him into that ring. Tell me, you're a piece of garbage, you know that? No! That's it! You told him I'd fight anywhere, anytime. In the ring. Tommy Gunn only fights in the ring.
Our ring's outside.
Yeah? Let's do it. Come on, Tommy, knock me out.
So yeah, who would have guessed that this movie was so bad that the previous movie with the talking robot and Rocky going to Russia to fight Dolph Lundgren would be the better movie out of this? Because wow, this was a major miscalculation. I mean, I got what Sylvester Stallone was trying to do. He was trying to take it back to the days of the original Rocky, but really, this movie just failed on so many levels that it just didn't really work out as well as I think they wanted it to. But when you have a movie where the main bad guy of the movie isn't really that threatening whatsoever, and most of it just takes place in the back alleys of Philadelphia, I mean, it just doesn't work. The movie just really is a cluster. It just doesn't make any sense. It has a lot of continuity errors to it. The medical inaccuracies in this movie really just don't work at all. I think that it's because I think Sylvester Stallone wanted to have a darker Rocky movie, and that's why he had the idea of and like you see it in the trailer where Rocky has like brain damage, kind of, but the movie doesn't really allow for that to do that. I think MGM wanted to make this a safe and marketable movie for reasons that are beyond me. And really, if you look at the Creed movies, especially the Creed movies, I think did a better job of going a little bit darker than the previous Rocky movies. Maybe not in full, but a lot of the ideas that I think Stallone wanted to put in Rocky V are definitely seen in movies like the Creed movies, or even something like Rocky Balboa in a way, which we'll get to that one when we get to that one when that comes out in 2006. But you get the idea. You get the idea that this movie really fell apart largely because of creative differences, a bad script, really bad characters, really bad continuity and medical errors, and it just didn't seem like there was really that much of a need this time around. Like in Rocky IV, it was silly, it was over the top, but at least it had a story you can get invested in. There's nothing here you can get invested in at all. It just feels like a parody of a Rocky movie, honestly, when you really look at it overall. So
this holiday season, join us as the classic tale of the Nutcracker Prince comes to life.
Where did he come from?
A magical story of adventure. Of romance.
Oh, dear Nutcracker.
Of bravery.
Don't worry, Mistress Clara.
And a really mean mouse.
Come out and meet your fate, Prince of the Dogs.
Quickly, the Mouse King's after you.
Charge!
The Nutcracker Prince. The tale of a young prince's battle against evil. The spell will be broken if he slays the Mouse King.
And wins the hand of a fair young maiden.
And the courage it took to save Clara and the Kingdom of Toys. Featuring the voices of Kiefer Sutherland.
Stay. Be my princess.
Megan Follows.
This is like a wonderful dream come true.
Phyllis Diller. And Peter O'Toole.
I think I'm going to like being a prince.
The Nutcracker Prince, the season's classic adventure for all the family.
Well, if Hollywood has taught us anything over the last couple of decades, it's that it will never be able to make a good Nutcracker movie without it looking absolutely horrible or nightmarish or just plain awful, because, yeah, if you've seen how the Nutcracker movies have gone over the last couple of decades, not really a whole lot of them have been any good, and this is another example of it. I mean, from the looks of it at first, it looks like you might have some good animation to it, but even in this movie, they managed to screw it up by having like a completely different animation structure in the middle of the movie, which makes no sense whatsoever for a story like this. And it's a mess of a movie. It really is a mess of a film. It's way too loud. The story doesn't make a whole lot of sense. The casting of all these celebrity voice talents, Kiefer Sutherland, Phyllis Diller, Peter O'Toole, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, and it just doesn't work. It's a movie that really just shows how nobody can really make a good Nutcracker movie without it just falling apart at the seams almost immediately. Because we had this, we had the Nutcracker in the Four Realms, we had the 2010 movie with the nightmarish rat things that also found a way to bring in Nazism to it, which is just... I mean, how hard is it to make a movie about this and make it good? I mean, why is that so hard to do? It's just... It makes no sense whatsoever why nobody can do it right, but sadly that's where it is right now, and I really don't think nobody will ever make a good Nutcracker movie, really, really ever, because we've seen everybody try to do it, and it fails miserably almost immediately. And this is another one of those examples. The Nutcracker Prince is a movie that Warner Brothers thought they were going to get on the Disney bandwagon, make an animated movie, hopefully make money. And it did anything but that, unfortunately. So yeah, that's the Nutcracker Prince. And just like I said, it completely tells you that we can't make a good Nutcracker movie nowadays. Someday we will, but I don't know when that's going to be.
Look who's back.
What's up, my man?
Look who's expecting.
All right, lay one on me.
That's your baby sister Julie in there. She's kicking.
Oh, wait a minute, let me get this straight. My little sister is in my juice cup?
TriStar Pictures presents...
Mikey, this is your sister, Julie. Hi, Julie. Welcome to the outside. I'm going to be in charge of your life for the next 2 or 3 years. Smacking you around, getting you in shape. Anything you need, don't be afraid to ask.
Who is this slime ball?
Look who's talking too. Starring John Travolta.
Where's your nose?
Just don't pressure me.
Oh, man, is this kid dumb?
Kirstie Alley.
Goodbye, mommy, little honey bunny. Yeah, whatever.
And the voices of Bruce Willis.
I got the time if you got the diapers.
Roseanne Barr.
What are you looking at?
And Damon Wayans.
Talk about attitude. Come on, let's take it to the zoo and leave it there. Good idea.
Of course, he would have a friend.
The trick is to take control of the situation. All right, look, let me show you something now. These are all toys, right? Some of them are mine, some of them are yours.
Yeah.
The way you tell the difference is I have all the great toys. Look, here's a toy you can play with, a Nerf ball. Here's another one.
Join Mikey and Julie.
No, you shove over.
As they discover the secrets of romance.
That's Sheila, man. We play doctor together. You play doctor with her? Gotta make another house call.
Battle the forces of evil.
These are just my toys. I don't remember having batteries, but... Oh, my God! Monsters!
Save their parents' marriage.
He's a slob. He's belligerent. He has the earning capacity of an illiterate immigrant.
Hey, everybody take a toy and just calm down.
And learn
that hat's never gonna fit me.
how to hold their own.
Ooh, I had to pinch that one back. Might make it. Oh, wait, just get these little pants down. Oh. Wait a minute, I'm not done.
Look who's talking too. Now we got us a party.
And again, right away, you can kind of see some of the problems with Look Who's Talking To. It's pretty much a typical comedy sequel. It's definitely lesser than the previous movie. I will say, though, there are some things in this movie that actually were kind of interesting. Like, I'll give you this much. There's a couple of sequences in here that are like, they're kind of like nightmare sequences, dream sequences, but I will admit, when I watched this again recently, they still kind of freaked me out. Like, they did a pretty good job of saying, we're not going to show any mercy. We're going to show you what these kids really see everything as in their nightmares. And, you know, the teddy bear and then the toilet coming to life. Like, I got to admit, that really freaked me out when I watched this again. I'll give it that. But, I mean, for the most part, yeah, there's a lot of problems with this movie. I think the biggest problem, like I said, is sequelitis. It's them pretty much rehashing the same premise as the first movie. The characters have really regressed in this movie compared to where they were in the last movie. Like, it feels like Kirstie Alley and John Travolta really have not learned anything, and they're just the difference is that they're married and now they have 2 kids, and now they have to they have to work on their relationship again. And it's just like, we saw this already in the first movie, except this time, yeah, they're married now, but you couldn't at least think of something better than that? I mean, and the voice work is okay. I mean, Bruce Willis, Roseanne Barr, Damon Wayans, and there's also a couple of other ones in here, new voices that they add in here. They're not bad, but in this movie in particular, you really start to notice the mouths moving now on their own, and there was a lot of that in the first movie whatsoever. Like, you didn't see them, the mouths weren't moving like someone was sticking peanut butter in these kids' mouth, because that's what it looks like in this trailer. Like, if you see Bruce Willis moving his lips around, I don't know if they were trying to get the kids to speak like what Bruce Willis is saying, but I don't know. It's a weird thing to do for this. It's just like, it doesn't look right whatsoever, at least to me, at least. But interesting fun fact I found out, if you watch the original teaser trailer for this, Damon Wayans' character, who becomes the best friend of Bruce Willis's character, was actually supposed to be played by Richard Pryor, and like in the early teaser trailers for this, it even has Eddie voiced by Richard Pryor in there, and I guess they took a line from one of his movies or something, or he didn't record anything, and they just took it from another movie. But yeah, they do have the little clip player. I don't have the trailer here, but if you go online and look for the first teaser trailer for Look Who's Talking 2, it's definitely on there. But yeah, for the most part, Look Who's Talking 2 is pretty much a letdown, especially compared to the first movie. It definitely suffers from sequelitis. There are a couple things that make it kind of stand out, but it's not something I'd want to watch over and over again.
Terry Dean is a thief who's temporarily down and out. When a sudden collision causes a major concussion.
You wanted the truth, I'm giving it to you. I'm an angel,
That leads to a hasty conclusion.
I'm an angel. You're an angel. They're the ones that come back to Earth to do good deeds and stuff. I'm bulletproof, but I can't fly yet. If you'd given me the wings, it made the job a lot easier.
I saw him reading the Bible earlier. An axe murderer can read.
Are you folks very religious, Terry? Only time I went to church as a kid was to knock off the poor box.
You have family living in L.A., Mr. Dean?
No, I killed them with an axe. Social workers, right?
Yeah. And what's it to you? Popeye?
Very important when you throw the left hook. Keep that elbow up high. Because if you miss with a glove, you still take them out with the elbow. Now, I never, ever want to see any of you guys doing any of this dirty stuff. I don't wear funny robes or carry signs. I'm not a religious nut. I just help people, like you do.
Do as I say, no one gets hurt. I'll have 200 turner on a roll to go.
Paper or plastic?
The Bonzo Burger Man cruised the downtown area last night, distributing samples of his products to the homeless. He's medium built and looks like this.
Paul Hogan is almost an angel.
Aerobics. They're like Jane Fonda.
The guy from down under is now working for the man upstairs.
I guess you've been asked this question a million times, but is Elvis with you?
Almost an angel.
Yeah, this was definitely one of those things where Crocodile Dundee was a once-in-a-generational thing. It was a big hit back in '86. The sequel was a success as well. But unfortunately, Paul Hogan never really had that big success like Crocodile Dundee. He never was able to capitalize on that, which is a shame because he's not a bad actor. He can actually be a very funny comedic actor, and I could definitely see where they were going with this movie, but overall, I think they really missed the mark here because I think they made this character that Hogan plays a little too much like Crocodile Dundee, and he's supposed to be this bad guy, but he never really shows it in this movie. Like he robs banks and he says that he kills people, but we never really get to see it in this movie. And I think because it plays it a little bit too safe for its own good, and I think that's really one of the reasons why it doesn't really work that well. And I don't know, like, you ever heard the saying, never work with your spouse? And I don't know if working with his wife, Linda Kozlowski, again, really worked out this time around. It worked in the first two movies, but not really here. The first two Crocodile Dundee movies, I should say, but Yeah, unfortunately, this movie didn't really work out all that well. It was a huge failure financially and critically. Paul Hogan would keep trying to make some successes over the 90s, but he would never really have that big success after Crocodile Dundee after this, which again is a shame because I think he could have been a really good comedic actor that would have been able to make more hit movies if he picked the right scripts or something or what. But I just didn't see it in this movie, unfortunately. It has a good idea to it, but just a wrong execution, honestly. So that's my thoughts on Almost an Angel, a movie that really missed the point altogether, I think, really, in the end.
Meet Duffy Bergman. He's a man's man. He's a ladies' man. He's a lucky man.
Could you please tell me who the Bulgarian bear wrestler is who made this?
I'm the Bulgarian bear wrestler.
This is delicious. If you don't love me, then just tell me you don't love me and I'll get out of the way.
Get out of the way! He's a man whose biological clock,
I want one of those,
is about to go off.
26 million couples a year have difficulty conceiving.
Oh, what's happening here?
It's an auditory monitor.
Oh, I thought maybe you were lonely.
All we need to do is lower your temperature. This should do the trick.
What's this little pocket for?
Ice.
Sometimes it takes more than a fertile imagination to go from here to paternity.
Come on. Worst thing that can happen. We'll have 2 hours of incredible, unreproductive sex. Work, work, work.
Gene Wilder, funny about love.
I should have said his comedic follow-up because he directed The Good Mother, which was a drama with Diane Keaton and Liam Neeson in it. But Funny About Love is definitely a major comedic step down from 3 Men and a Baby. It's very lackluster. In fact, Burt Reynolds pretty much kind of made a movie similar to this 10 years prior. I can't remember. I think it was called Paternity, but it's pretty much that same plot with, instead of Burt Reynolds, it's Gene Wilder. And Gene Wilder can be very funny, and you also have Christine Lottie, who's a great actress. But the comedy they're just given in here just doesn't work at all. It's very sitcomish. It's very sitcomish. Nothing about this feels like it's necessary for a big screen motion picture. And there's just nothing about it that really makes it stand out on its own. It's a very forgettable movie. It showed up on many people's worst of the year list in 1990, and you could really see why. Despite the fact that Wilder and Lottie are trying their best here, there's just nothing really funny here. They try to make... I think a movie like Knocked Up does a pretty good job of showing the pros and cons of being of pregnancy and all that. Like this movie just feels like everything that happens is going to be A-okay. Nothing bad's going to happen to you, all that kind of stuff. It's just like... That's not how pregnancy works. I mean, it's just like I've seen much better comedies about pregnancy that actually tackles those aspects, but this really doesn't work at all. This is a very bland movie that doesn't even feel like a real movie. It feels more like a sitcom than an actual movie. It makes no sense to do a movie like this, especially with a guy like Leonard Nimoy, who proved how good of a comedic director he could be with 3 Men and a Baby. Just a good director overall with what he did with Star Trek 3 and 4. And this was part of his downfall. I mean, after this, he made another movie that wasn't received very well, Holy Matrimony, and then he never directed another movie after that. And it's just a shame that had to be. So, yeah. So that's Funny About Love. There ain't nothing really funny about it, personally.
Payloads, aim points, rate of burn.
It's everything we ever wanted to know about the Russians. Sounds like the pot of gold.
God. Addressed to boozy Barley Blair.
Barley Blair took a chance because he had nothing left to lose.
I'm offering you a fresh start.
It's voice activated, sir.
You're a fool to use me. I let people down.
Katya Orlova took a chance because she had everything to gain.
If you love peace, take this to England to Mr. Scott Blair.
It is better that you smile.
How did you recognize me, Mr. Barley?
Well, Mickey said you were Russia's answer to the Venus de Milo.
Together, they took the most dangerous chance of all.
It's me.
Do I disturb you?
Deeply.
They fell in love.
Barley's made contact.
Are you a spy?
Sir?
We are going with your man.
What is the matter? Are you afraid?
If it's not safe for me, then it's not safe for you.
Why is he driving?
Get rid of him, Clive.
I am motivated by my love for Katya Orlova.
No.
What are you doing?
Don't! What did he say?
He was telling me we are dead.
I love you. I won't let you down.
John Le Carre's The Russian.
No ghost had ever been treated so badly. Okay, Bud, that's enough for tonight.
Daddy.
Elliot Hopper never has enough time for his kids.
Don't wait up for me.
I never do.
But today is an unusually hectic day.
Do you accept the Lord Satan as a supreme being?
I've been meaning to, but I've just been so busy I haven't had a chance to get around to it.
In fact,
I've got $76. All you have to do is stop the cab.
it's his last.
Never come to work with that attitude.
Now,
What's wrong with Daddy? Excellent trick. I am. You're a duck. A big sissy. That's a host. A host. A ghost? It's a ghost!
Ghost Dad. He's got a family to raise.
Diane, don't make me walk through this door.
Do you know how weird that's gonna make me look? Oh, there goes Diane. You know, Casper's daughter.
A romance to keep alive.
I can't.
Oh.
Oh, no, I don't mean that. I can't. Of course I would.
And a secret to keep.
I know that you're an alien. I want $50,000 or I go to the newspaper.
You try to threaten me?
Bill Cosby. And you've never seen him before. Invisible.
Daddy, can I take you to show and tell?
Ghost Dad.
I don't know what Bill Cosby was thinking when the Cosby Show was on the air, because, I mean, when the Cosby Show was on TV, I don't know what happened. Like, every movie that he picked, these leading roles he picked, I don't know what he was looking at with the scripts and all that, because there was this movie and then there was Leonard Part 6, and it's just like, I don't know how a guy of his comedic talents at the peak of his career with the Cosby Show, which was one of the biggest hits on television at this time, could pick bad script after bad script. It's just like, what are you doing, man? I mean, you're tarnishing your legacy with these movies, and yeah, you're just tarnishing your legacy and everything that people liked about you at that time. Of course, now his legacy is tarnished for other reasons, but I mean, listen, you got to give the guy his proper credits. I still like what Bill Cosby did in the past. I still like Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids. I still like the Cosby Show. I still like some of his older movies, some of his older stand-up. I mean, there is still a lot to like about his older stuff. I mean, hate him for what he did, because what he did was inexcusable. But I mean, he was still funny back in the day. I mean, just in my personal opinion. I know a lot of people still don't like Cosby after what he did, but I agree with you that what he did was wrong. But don't neglect the past stuff that he did that made him one of the biggest stars at the time. Except for movies like this and Leonard Part 6, which is just like, this movie baffles me even more than Leonard Part 6, because Leonard Part 6 was a movie that it didn't really feel like they had the right idea of what they wanted to do with that movie, and it's just like, so much so that Cosby himself wanted to denounce the movie on talk shows at the time of that film's release. This movie's inexcusable for being as bad as it is. You've got Sidney Poitier, one of the most well-known black actors and directors of his time, won an Oscar for I can't remember what he won an Oscar for. It was Lilies on the Field. I thought for a second it was either Guess Who's Coming to Dinner or In the Heat of the Night, but completely different movie that I was thinking of. It was Lilies of the Field, so that's the one he won the Oscar for. But even for a guy like Sidney Poitier, you would think a guy like him would know to pick better scripts than this. You also have Brent Maddock and S.S. Wilson, who had just done Tremors, which is a great cult sci-fi comedy. You've got Henry Mancini doing the music for this. Henry Mancini, he did the Pink Panther, for God's sakes. What is he doing here? And it's just like, the whole movie is just a mess. Like, there's so much here that probably could have worked with a better script. I mean, I read that John Badham was actually going to direct a version of this with Steve Martin in the Bill Cosby role, which, you know, Steve Martin can be very funny, and John Badham can be a good director, so maybe that could have worked. But then again, you have the talent here: Sidney Poitier, Henry Mancini, Bill Cosby, and this is the end result. It's a movie that really just makes no sense whatsoever. Like, it'd be easy to say that Bill Cosby is a ghost now. Like, he's dead. Like, he's never coming back. But nope, not in this case. He's apparently like, he's still. It's weird. Like, he's a ghost, but he can still be seen by his kids, but they can't hear him. And then it just gets so confusing trying to think about what this plot is. So he's not really dead. It turns out that his spirit jumped out of his body in fright, and so because of this, so how is his spirit still moving around and his body is not? Is it just like, it's so confusing? And then the daughter gets killed, and then it's the same thing in a bizarre way too, because the older daughter trips on a pair of skates from the little sister, and she falls on the steps. She's seriously injured, and she ends up in the same situation. And she's just like, you know what? Screw it. I want to go run around as a ghost too. Screw my body. And then it's literally a non-conflict 5 minutes after that happens. It's just everything in this movie is so clustered, so screwed up, makes no sense whatsoever. It's downright insane how weird this movie is, and even right down to some of the other things that happen in this movie. You have Arnold Stang, the voice of Top Cat, in here, and he's only in here to be the Don Knotts type of role, where he's like doing the slapstick comedy, and even though the slapstick comedy in here is not funny whatsoever, and it's just like, it's like that throughout the movie. There's just so many moments in here that just don't work. This is supposed to be a PG-rated family comedy, and you have people talking about, and you have the boy. There's one scene where the boyfriend of the older daughter calls Bill Cosby's house, and he's just like, "Put the bitch on." I mean, just, do you realize how stupid this is? This whole movie is so stupid, and the fact that so many talented people were involved in the making of this movie, it's baffling. It's baffling how this movie came to be, and how they screwed it up so badly. It's a mess of a movie. Terrible movie. Ghost Dad. It's one of the worst comedies ever made. I mean, it's a terrible movie. I got nothing else to say about it. If you haven't seen it, be lucky. Be lucky that you haven't seen this movie, because it's really, really bad. So, Ghost Dad.